Illinois versus Tennessee just got done, and oh boy, do we have some takeaways with that. But that wasn't the only big time matchup today. We also have Duke, Michigan State, Louisville, Indiana, Iowa State versus Purdue, plus a whole week full of games. We're going to dive into it all, be a little emotional, be a little reactionary. But welcome to the night shift. Let's party. Welcome to the night shift on the No Ceilings YouTube channel, No Ceilings podcast feed. If you're listening afterwards, I'm Tyler Metcalf. Joining me, per usual, Stephen Gillespie. Stephen, how are we doing?
Metcalf, I'm great, dude. Just fantastic week of basketball. We had a fun time doing the war room, getting ready for future projects for No Ceilings today. It was action-packed Saturday, and the game was pretty solid that we just wrapped up between Illinois and Tennessee. A lot to talk about, dude. Lots to discuss.
And let's not waste any time. Let's just dive right into it because we got a ton of prospects in this game. Illinois ends up walking away with the 75-62 win over Tennessee. We could bury the lead, go with some positives and stuff, but why? We got to address the elephant in the room. And Nate Ament had another really, really rough game. And I think this is kind of what it would look like, or what all of his previous performances, or most of his previous performances, unfortunately, would look like if you take away the free throw numbers, because he only got to the line. He only had 2 free throws tonight, finished with a stat line of 9 points in 31 minutes on 4 of 14 shooting, 0 of 3 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 0 steals, 0 blocks. It was a tough night for Ament.
Yeah. I mean, and if you look at the defensive effort too, like he didn't even foul in this game either. You know, I'm not sitting here advocating that players have to foul to play defense, but I think if you have 0 fouls as a starting player in a high D1 program, like that's could be a pretty big indicator of like how effective you are on one side of the ball. Nate Ament struggled a lot in the first half of this game, as you well know, Metcalf. We were talking about him in the war room today for No Ceilings for future projects, and there is still a lot of optimism within our group surrounding
which
him.
Shocked me.
As well as, where do you have him? Let's do it Saturday night.
I have him too high. I have him too high. He will be moving down, but currently I haven't changed my board since this game, but he was at 7, and I don't feel good about it. But in a tier that goes down to 9, and it's like, it feels too high based on what we've seen. And I get being optimistic because you see his height, the shooting, the priors with his shooting, and the foul drawing, and some of the scoring efficiency. It's like, all right, like there's a lot to work with here. And then you just watch him play, and the efficiency issues all year, and it's just like, man, when you're not getting to the line 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 times a night, it looks rough.
Yeah, it does, man. I have him 18th on my board.
Woo!
And I had other players beneath him that I have, for whatever reason, just like, I think Maxwell put it in our Slack group chat pretty well, where he was like, I'm trying to be edgy and wanting to be down on Heinz Steinbach. And I watched a little bit of him today, and I'm like, even him, like, if you're an NBA team and you're looking to add someone to contribute to your team, if you could pick between Heinz Steinbach and Nate Ament right now, I don't understand why you would take Nate Ament over a Heinz Steinbach right now, other than, well, other 6'10" players who are projected to shoot are doing pretty decent in the NBA right now. So, like, why would I not try it with Nate Ament? I hate that logic, just personally myself. Like, I'm watching him play so bad at the game of basketball right now. Game over game, again, I know it's early. I hear everyone right now. I feel the Steven, it's early. It's only December. Give him some time. Let him settle in.
It's
let
early
him
until
settle
it's
in.
not.
He's playing in the SEC. Like, he's not. It's not going to get any easier for him. You know, I'm just watching him play so passive in the game, you know, and he started asserting himself later in the game, and I know people are going to hold on to that dunk that he had like a life draft
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like stock preservation and stuff like that. But here's the other thing too, Metcalf. Like, why in the world in the draft community are we so afraid to move a player down if we have to move him back up again later? Like, I'm not too precious with my rankings to be like, oh wow, okay, like new evidence is in front of me. Let me adjust accordingly, you know? Like if right now he's stinking, like to put it bluntly, I'm gonna grade him like he is playing right now. If he gets better, I will happily move him up. And if that makes me wrong, then I'm wrong, you know?
Well, as you know, you can never be wrong on the internet, Stephen.
It's true.
Come on. You're either always right or just always right. There's no such thing as being wrong. No, but I'm with you. I'm kind of getting to that point of like, all right, man, like we've had what 10 games now with Tennessee. Like we're over a little over a third of the way through the season. Like these
Yeah.
aren't that long of seasons. Like the sample size, yeah, it's going to keep getting bigger. Yeah, it's not the biggest right now, but game by game, it's getting bigger, and game by game, it continues to look the exact same. And the only argument I continue to see with his offensive game right now is, well, he's still his efficiency numbers are still good. It's like, yeah, getting to the line is a real skill. Okay, cool. If that's your only offensive skill right now, that really worries me
Yeah.
because you have to be able to have some more dynamic handle, more scoring gravity, more scoring versatility to actually warrant that foul at that whistle at the next level. And I'm
He
really
can
worried
pass a little bit too,
a
you
little
know.
bit, but like,
Yeah.
at the next
Not off the
level,
dribble.
no, he can't create advantages to like actually move defenders or create numbers advantages to really leverage that passing right now. So it's like the only times tonight that we saw him really aggressive were right before that 8-minute timeout where he came in
Yep.
off the bench. He had sat for like 4 minutes or so, came in as like the 8:30-ish mark, had a straight line drive, big dunk, really nice play. That was the first time I saw him really attack downhill aggressively. Good result. Next possession or two possessions later, goes into traffic, utilizes his length, his height, gets the offensive rebound in traffic through contact, and puts it back for another 2 points. Those were the two best plays I saw from him tonight. And it was when he was aggressive and willing to be physical. The rest of the game, we didn't really see that from him at all.
Yeah, and I mean, Dirty Dancer, you know, MVP of all draft shows that ever exist. He is a good rebounder, and he passes. And you know, you probably sent that comment before I'd mentioned that he passes. Yeah, he rebounds. Like he had a really good offensive rebound in the game too, where he did like show a little bit more aggression and yanked it away. But that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I get it that he's tall, he can rebound, and he can pass. He doesn't play very much defense at all. I think he still only has one block on the entire season, Metcalf. Like, you're 6'10" playing college basketball, and not all these games that you've been in have been against Illinois. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he should have like Cam Carr has, I think, 6 of his blocks have come against, you know, Tarleton State and Texas Rio Grande or something like that. And I believe he got either 1 or 2 more blocks today against Memphis. And he's skinny, you know what I mean? But he's smaller, but just plays with a level of aggression and feel. I worry about immense athleticism too, you
Yeah.
know, not only like his mindset, but I don't trust his athleticism. But I know that I don't want to slam him for like a long time on this show, but I think it is important to say that like it's okay to say that a guy is struggling.
Yeah.
And I just wish that people were more on board with saying, okay, I'm going to slide him down, and if he plays better, then we can move him back up. Like let's evaluate what we're seeing, you know?
And that'll be more of a testament to who he is as a person and a player if he really does start to turn things around. Um, because like there are very, very fun tools there. There's a lot of really fun potential. It's just not clicking at all right
Yeah.
now. And my hope, which I said 2 weeks ago, was that all right, I my optimistic view is that he has no idea how to use that 15 to 20 pounds of muscle that he added over the summer. And but eventually he's got to start implementing that. Otherwise, it's like, what's the point? Because he's still playing like that skinny kid in high school, and he's not utilizing his frame. He's not utilizing his newer strength. He's never going to have an elite first step or the ability to blow past guys and get to the rim. But if he can learn how to play slow and really out leverage and use his length and use his frame and use his strength to create advantages, that's going to change things. So far, he's not doing it at all on either end of the floor.
But he's getting the opportunities, though, Metcalf. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna switch here in a minute and talk about Illinois. You did a great job of texting, what I was seeing in the game too, where Tennessee, for whatever reason, like their switch rotations today, just continued to put him on like the largest players that Illinois had, and you want opportunities to put your extra muscle mass to the test. Like that's it, man. Like. I'm not saying he's got to stop a guy as huge as Tomislav Ivicic, but at least make it competitive. You know what I mean? Like, Keaton Wagler led the game in rebounds today. Of everybody who played basketball today, Keaton Wagler, who is shorter and, dare I say, skinnier than Nate Ament, is going out.
He looks like an actual 18-year-old.
Yes, he absolutely does. And he led the entire game in rebounds today. And they're not just like, oh, I'm going to occupy the offside of the floor, be the only one, grab it and go. Like he's competing on the glass too. And even when another player comes down with the boards, he's competing and trying to like rip it away from him. Nate Ament is just so okay with, the ball is in their hands. I guess I'm just going to have to go over here now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And before we pivot to Illinois, I want to end on at least somewhat of an optimistic note now that we've ripped Ament for 10 minutes.
Happy Saturday night. Yeah.
And coming into the year, I thought he was going to be a lethal shooter. He's shooting like 32-ish% from three, somewhere in that range. And a lot of his shots today felt like he was missing long again. Mm-hmm. And it didn't feel like it was wild misses left and right and short and long. And like he had no idea what his range was. It felt like he just kept missing long. And that funnels back into the strength gain from the summer. So hopefully he's still trying to figure out what that range is and figure out how strong he is. That's my real optimistic outlook on where his shot is right now. I think he's been too good of a shooter throughout high school for this to continue. And once those outside shots start falling a little more consistently, I do think the scoring stuff is going to improve. And hopefully that creates defenders closing out a little harder on him. And then he can get into those advantages where he can leverage, attacking downhill and create and attacking against their momentum a little bit more.
I could see that. Fabulous results in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching us and hanging out. Says Ament is 28% from three after this game. I think what you just said is a very good observation and something that I will just like, if I am kind of counseling myself here for a second, look at what Ament started doing after he saw the ball go in the hoop in the second half. He started getting more aggressive. He started feeling himself a little bit more. I said that people are going to hold on to that like a life draft. Maybe I should too, just because once he starts feeling himself, like he kind of feeds into himself, and that aggression, that ability to want to get to the basket and score and get a little bit more competitive, that starts to come. I just want that to be not the last 6-7 minutes of the entire game before he starts really feeling himself.
Only other guy kind of note draft-wise for this year, at least for me, on Tennessee, Jacoby Gillespie ended up with 15, but 6 of 20 shooting, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 5 rebounds. Tough shooting night again, but I think the really fun stuff is on the Illinois side.
Yeah, absolutely. My cousin, he did a decent job today, but he kind of showed where some of the concerns are with him. But yeah, Illinois, they got several dudes that I think that people need to be more excited about watching and talking about as like real draftable prospects.
Where do you want to start?
Oh man, I'll give you the option. Do you want to start with Keaton the Wagon Wagler, or do you want to start with Colin Boswell?
Let's go with Wagler. He's the new shiny thing. But why not?
Yeah, He's been a person that I know that we've been talking about at No Ceiling since
Mm-hmm.
the very early I mean, it's still early in the season, but like as the season started, we started seeing a couple games from him. We're like, man, he's kind of interesting. I've kind of said that he gives me a little bit of like Shaden Sharp type vibes like early on in the season. That was before he was really starting to connect from three, but just like the height, the body size, the just the way that he kind of operates, the way he feels himself and inserts himself into just the paint, as a ball handler, as a passer, as a defender, of course, on the rebounds. He's just kind of everywhere. And he started the entire season for Illinois, and he's had some like really big performances, mostly against some of the lower end D1 schools. But for a guy who Metcalf, they mentioned today that only 2 D1 schools offered him a scholarship, and he could have been playing in your backyard, man.
That one hurt. I was like, really, Jimmy? Like
Yeah.
we're bringing this up? Like this wasn't necessary.
You didn't have to say that.
I know.
There's people
I
from
would have loved
Minnesota.
to see him playing at Minnesota. Oh, he would have been so much fun.
How about Kansas letting him get out of state? You know what I mean? Like, how fun would he and DP been on the same team this season? That would have been crazy. But not the most efficient night, 5 of 13, 4 of 11 from deep, but the process, and everyone knows it's the process that counts the most when it comes to basketball. The process for him has always kind of been there, and he's just so intriguing, dude. I feel like he could either be like a sneaky late riser this year, or he could be like top returner on next season's board. Like, that's how much I'm really starting to value him.
And he's put up some big numbers this year, but the bulk of them felt like they kind of came against lesser competition in some of those tune-up games. And then when they played some big boy matchups, he faded away. Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Freshman, we get it. Especially a freshman who only had 2 D1 offers. We definitely get it. But this felt
Super
like
skinny.
exactly. But this felt like his first most complete game against a real opponent who's known for being a physical defense and really experienced team. He was knocking down shots, 4 of 11 from 3, but he was also getting paint touches constantly and then making the right decisions out of those in terms of spraying it out and finding defenders based on where the defensive rotation came from. And that was the most exciting part for me, that this really skinny freshman ended up with 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 0 turnovers. Zero turnovers. That is huge for me, especially with how aggressive he was getting to the middle of the floor. You would expect him to just dribble off his foot once or, help defender poke it loose occasionally, but he didn't get burned with any of that tonight. And you kind of hinted at it. My fascination is if he keeps playing like this, not, exploding into more, but in this kind of range where it's like, oh man, I'd love to have him in the first, but is he ultimately physically ready? And how much is that potentially going to hold him back? Regardless of how tough he plays, how aggressive he is, how efficient he is, regardless of any of that, we constantly see freshmen who aren't physically ready from a strength standpoint come out a little too early, and we don't see them for a year or two.
Yeah, and that's the key point. And I would say I went back and listened to you and Rucker. You were on Topic Thunder, our friends over there on the show, and you guys killed it as normal. But the discussion about going to the right team that has the developmental staff and stuff like that, I think that depending on the range, there's a few teams that have multiple picks in the late first that are good teams that it might impact the decision for people to stay or return back to school this year just by sheer volume of picks that like certain number of teams have. If you could, it's going to be a risk, but he could stay in. I like him as a returner right now, but
Same.
Coming into the season, hardly anyone knew who he was, if anybody at all. And he's already impressed to the point to where he's kind of already teetering in that late first, early second round range. And it's only, early December. Conference comes around, NCAA tournament comes around. It only takes a couple weeks of stellar hot play for you to be in contention right now. And we're talking about how Nate Ament is struggling. There's a few other high-end recruits that are struggling. Tunde Yesufu had a nice bounce-back game today and a loss against Memphis. But prior to tonight, he's been struggling. So I'm not going to rule out anything. I adore the process. He's handling the ball, he's passing. Whenever Boswell went down with the shoulder injury
Yeah.
earlier, he was defending the point and doing pretty well, connecting from deep, attacking the paint, not being afraid at all to like drive and spray out to the corners and hit the Ivisic brothers for corner threes. He's doing again so much like miniature Shaden Sharp type stuff in his game that I'm really impressed with in the early going, and it feels like he's just kind of absorbing basketball knowledge as the season has gone on.
Yeah, and I feel like skill-wise, potential, production so far, he's in that first round conversation. But I think if he went back to Illinois and came out as a sophomore instead, a full year or full summer of strength and conditioning in that program, get stronger, add that 10 to 15 pounds of muscle that every sophomore seems to do, and then come back in what's as of now going to be viewed as a little bit of a weaker draft.
Sure.
He could be a top 10 pick. Who else on Illinois caught your eye?
Colin Boswell has done a really interesting job this season. Put in the chat earlier that he's done his best like Raymond Felton impression, where he's shorter, thicker guard, finds his way to the paint. You trust him handling the ball, passing, plays good defense. He's just so intelligent. He's a guy who's been around for forever, and a guy who we always just kind of put in our back pocket for maybe next year, maybe next year. It feels like it's starting to kind of come around in Illinois. In my opinion, Metcalf is like the perfect representation that I've seen in college basketball right now of what sophisticated NBA teams look like right now. If you look at the college basketball landscape, not very many teams right now feel like an NBA representation in college right now, more so than Illinois. And Boswell is just the guy that kind of stirs the drink. He didn't hit any threes today, and he was iffy from the free throw line, but it feels like he got to the paint whenever he wanted, could finish with either hand. Great use of body shielding. Just when in the closing moments of the game, I felt like he kind of iced out Boswell a little bit, but you felt like the senior wanted the ball in his hand to make sure that the game didn't get away in the closing moments of the game, that he never felt too ramped up to feel like he had to press to make a play. As opposed to like Stojakovic whenever he went for that back scratch and dunk and just like rimmed it out. Boswell just shows a lot of intelligence in the way that he plays the game. Only one turnover on the game, played 36 minutes. It probably would have been a clean 40 minutes if he didn't fall and hurt a shoulder earlier and couldn't raise it. I liked him a lot in this game. I feel like he could easily be a third guard in the NBA right now, which means, in my opinion, you're probably looking at like a second round pick or priority undrafted free agent if he wants to choose wherever he wants to go, a la Ryan Nembhard. So I think that he's showing a lot this year that he should be able to be trusted in an NBA organization.
Yeah, he's not going to be a first round pick, so I don't want anyone to get confused about our praise or our intrigue with him, because he's just been really good this year. He's always been, good defender, but the offensive stuff has been super sporadic, and he's just simplified his game a lot this year. He's never going to be a lights out shooter. He's never going to be the most dynamic playmaker, but he's just solid, and that can return a lot of value in the late in the second round or as a UDFA. But it's like, why couldn't he do some Trey Jones stuff, some Jordan McLaughlin stuff, be that kind of, like you said, third guard in a rotation. I think the other three names I think are really important four. The Ivisic brothers, Stojakovic, but I also really want to talk about David Mirkovic. Because he's a guy in my scouting files that went up on Friday that I was like, I don't get it. Like, I want to, but this is also like an archetype that I always really, really struggle with, where it's not quite big enough to be a center, not quite explosive or fluid enough to be like a 3-4, 4-3. And he's just kind of a stiff athlete, but he rebounds everything. He's got some really fun passing stuff to his game. When the outside shot falls, there's some really encouraging pick and pop, spot up type of floor spacing stuff to his game, especially with the volume this year, which has been really encouraging, which I did not expect. And he's just one of these guys where it's like, oh man, I should have you higher. I should be more in on you than I am, because all you do is produce. and you're tough and physical and so stinking strong. But I cannot figure this archetype out for the life of me.
I don't blame you. It reminds me a lot of, EJ Liddell whenever he was coming out.
Yeah.
And NBA teams really couldn't figure him out either. And a lot of that had to do with injury and stuff. That's why he hasn't really panned out. He had a great game. 4 of 9 from the floor, hit half of his 3-pointers, had 6 rebounds, 5 of which came on the offensive glass, which you love to see at that position. I'm with you, though. Like, clearly he produces, but he's not a 5.
Right.
He's not a sophisticated enough handler, consistent enough floor spacer, strong enough defender on the perimeter
Right.
to play the 4. It's a tricky evaluation. I'm not in a hurry to get him. Maybe in the second round I would entertain drafting him. Maybe even
Which at that
second.
point, it's like, why go out?
Yeah, for him, I agree. Yeah, that's a fair point. He is a bit of a tricky evaluation for me too. I wish I could come on here and be
could
Max
he be
Kellerman.
Grant Williams?
I don't think so. I think I trusted Grant to create and pass a little bit more whenever he was coming out, but
I think Grant was also like a 4-year guy.
Yeah, that's true. I think most of those guys that play his position, for the most part, are 4-year guys.
Right.
There's really not a lot of one and dones that have his play style that I can recall.
All right. Between the Ivisic brothers and Stojakovic, where do you want to
go? The Stojakovic conversation is quicker tonight.
Yeah.
21 minutes, 5 points, 2 of 5 from the floor, misses only 3-point attempt, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 4 stocks on the night, which was pretty impressive because he can kind of wax and wane on the defensive end. So seeing him have that sort of a defensive performance against Tennessee is something that you want to see if you're a believer in him, or if you're a little bit more skeptical, you can lend yourself into buying in more. One of those misses that he had is just a freak dunk miss, so I don't hold that against him. Really, it should have been 3 of 5 on the night. I feel like he always has a positive impact on the game. Like, he never really hurts the game. He's just not always, I don't know, you don't always feel him. I have him kind of like in the mid to late 40 range right now on my big board, and I mean, obviously this early that extends out to like 80 something probably if I tiered that out.
It's where that range where you just stop making tiers. It's like you're all the same right now.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm not in a hurry to get him, but there are some impressive moments. He's clearly a good athlete. You wish that he shot as good as his dad did, but he drives. He drives and he's tough. You know, like, I like the competitiveness. What did you think?
I want to like him just because of how much the defense has improved over the years, how much the athleticism and rim pressure has improved over the years. I just don't trust him on offense, unfortunately, right now, despite how good some of the games can be when he gets downhill. I don't trust the shot. I don't trust the decision making. I don't trust the passing. Like I think he's in the 60s or something for me right now. He just feels like a guy that you can kind of get anywhere. Like, there are a lot of him, unfortunately, until or unless he starts shooting or passing at a higher level, and we haven't seen that from him yet.
Yeah, I agree with you, brother.
Let's talk real quick about Tomislav Ivisic. I thought he was fantastic.
Awesome.
Just absolute monster on offense, knocking down shots from outside, only 2 of 6, but legit floor spacing. The passing, where he showed it off last year, he's showing it off again this year, and just the way that they constantly spammed, just, all right, go set a screen on Ament, pull him down to the block, wait for the double to come, and then just pass it to whoever that defender left. And in the first 5 minutes of that second half, they feasted on that kind of stuff. And his scoring versatility and his passing capabilities were the main reason they were able to do that.
Yeah, and he was in seek and destroy mode anytime that Nate Ament was switched on to him, or really anybody who wasn't, Estrella, which he really wasn't afraid of him either, or Phillips, again, wasn't really afraid of him either. Okpara had, I feel like, a couple of nice moments against him, but Tommy was just, if he was getting fronted really hard in the paint, the ball would move out, and then he would relocate for a corner 3 off of a driving kick. So that versatility that he provides in the offensive end is really there. I wish that he was a little bit more fluid, got off the
Yeah.
floor a little bit easier on the defensive end. 5 rebounds on the night, really good spread between offensive and defensive side of the ball. He's interesting to me in like that second round range. I would like once you start getting into the 40s, okay, sure, if we need a big man, you could do a lot worse than a guy who is as tall as Tommy is, who could also, you could trust to pass and string along a DHO and hit 3-pointers as well.
Absolutely. Anything else on this game?
No, sir.
Okay, let's jump over to the marquee game this morning. The Duke Blue Devils taking down Michigan State at Michigan State, 66-60. I'll give you the floor. Where do you want to start with this game?
I mean, you got to start with Cameron Boozer, the guy who was named after Cameron Indoor Stadium, right? 18 points, 15 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 7 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 3 from deep, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. He continues to just be kind of weird, if that makes sense. And again, I want to stress that I'm only saying he's weird in the number 1 pick conversation. Like,
no, you said something slightly negative. You clearly hate him.
I clearly hate him. Everyone knows this. Compared to everybody else in this class not named Darren Peterson, in my opinion, like he clears everyone else, okay? So if I'm comparing him just to Darren Peterson, he's just weird to me, man, because there's moments where you feel like you don't really feel him as much as you want to offensively. Defensively, I thought he was his typical Cam Boozer self. I hate that everyone says that he is like underrated defensively because it makes me want to pull my hair out. Like, we know that he's a good defender.
Yeah, it's like my only critique with his defense is, sometimes the quicker guys can beat him laterally. Whoop-de-doo. And he's not like super explosive, so I don't trust him as like a primary rim protector at the NBA level. That's about all the nitpicks I have on this defense.
Yeah, you're not. I don't think that when you draft Cam Boozer, you're like, we have our defensive anchor now. But you might have one of the best help side guys and guys who can defensively map the floor as well as anybody that you could ever want on your team, right? So he'll help fortify that defensive side of the ball. Clearly rebounded well. There's the shots. He's taking threes, which I love and appreciate because I don't want to have to wonder, like, I wonder what his 3-point shot looks like. You know what I mean? And some of them, the misses aren't always like super ugly or anything like that. It was just, I felt weird that he goes from the dominance that he displayed in Florida, and that front court is, nationally acclaimed in terms of, size, strength, and notoriety. Then he goes against Michigan State, which Kohler and Cooper they are very smart, capable
They're having
players.
a heck of a year too.
They look fantastic, dude. They look awesome. I don't know what it is about Coach Izzo, but it's like, what's the cat's name in Ninja Turtles? The guy who's like the brain that's inside like the robot. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is it Krang? Crag?
Something
I think it's
like
Crag.
that.
Yeah. It feels like Tom Izzo just like implants himself into his players, and it's just like, I can't do any of this stuff, but my brain is enough to just like take control of your body and make you look incredible. Like that's what Tom Izzo like does to these guys. And it's just, again, it's crazy that Cam Boozer goes against Florida, looks fantastic, goes against Michigan State, and again, doesn't look terrible, but just doesn't look as good as he did against Florida. And that just kind of perplexed me a little bit. What did you think about the game?
I thought Cam looked really good. And it was a little more, it felt a little more like what we saw from him in high school, where we're continuing to see the at rim finishing and the interior scoring and rim pressure stuff improve, because shocker, it does. But the big thing with that is that he had one drive where I think it's Cooper who rotated over. He hit him with like a nasty Euro, went around him, finished without needing contact. Gorgeous move. It's like, all right, a week ago you weren't doing that. Like a week ago you were just barreling into him and throwing something up at the rim. and he's just getting more and more patient in the post, utilizing head fakes and turning over both shoulders instead of just one. And just the game seems to be rapidly slowing down for him. Not that it was ever necessarily fast from a decision making standpoint, but from a shot creation standpoint, he was looking really sped up. Like when you look in those early games, it wasn't great. And now it's looking like the Cam Boozer that we know and love and we're expecting all year. I also have to kind of keep reminding myself, it's like he is driving everything on this Duke offense. Like he is playing a heliocentric role basically on offense for Duke. That is not how he should be used in the NBA. If he is, I think it could look kind of gross early. But if he's a number two on a number two offensive option that elevates everyone around him, he's going to be incredible.
Keep me grounded, Metcalf. Like, I love that you said that, because that is the best way to really kind of describe him, is that he's essentially the point guard on this team. Like, really, if you think about, kind of usage load, ultimate responsibility on this team, he's essentially Nikola Jokic on this team. You know what I mean? Like, he is in charge and responsible for so much. And Fabulous Results in the chat says, well, he's 18, he's going to be a little inconsistent. I know, like, he is very young, and he's going to be 18 like throughout the calendar year. He's going to grow and learn so much. Again, I'm just comparing him to Darren Peterson. Like, I feel like the discussion has to get a little bit more. You got to get in the minutia a little bit more whenever you're talking about the tippy top of the draft class. But I said the other day, whenever he beat Florida, I'm getting a little lonely over here. Darren's not around anymore. I'm just a little lonely, and Cameron's looking pretty good over there. And maybe I could see myself having him number one on my board instead of Peterson, because I haven't got to see him play in a little while. But something that I saw on the game too, Metcalf, was that this is Duke's first away win against a top 10 team since like 2019, and how good this team has been. Doesn't it feel like there is so much that they still have to fix on this team for as dominant as they are? Like, they could be so much more scary on this team.
Yeah, and they shot 31% from three and 38% from the floor and 65% from the line. Like, it's not. I know how good Michigan State is on defense, but
more turnovers and fouled more too than Michigan State.
Yeah, like the offense is far from pretty right now. In fact, I would dare to call it almost gross.
It's pretty ugly.
It's looked a lot better under Shire's regime in the past, but I don't think any of that is Boozer's fault necessarily. But like when you look at shout out to the chat, saying that Boozer's going to be an awesome play finisher on day one. It's like, yeah, that he's a number two. And when we look at the top of the draft right now, the top three picks are Atlanta, Washington, Indiana. Washington, like if he's there, if Darren goes one and he's there, you just take him. But like, can you imagine him and Hallie playing together, or him and Trey playing together? Just like just having a real point guard and a real offensive engine next to him is going to make life so much easier for him.
And not having to just simply just create out of like the elbow or the mid post or the low post. You're being used in high pick and roll sets in a much more spread out offensive system. And you got more consistent 3-point shooters, hopefully, depending on the team that you go to, than you do right now at Duke. I mean, you're right. Putting him on a team where the creation is going to be done for him, and then he's going to get to create out of these short roll looks in a more spread out system, he's going to be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Anything else specifically on Duke for you? Because I thought it was a big old nothing burger, basically, for every other potential draft prospect.
Arminia shot from three pretty well tonight.
He had some moments.
Yeah. I was just happy to see that as like one of the founding members of the Nicholas Arminia fan club in the offseason. I was pretty happy to see that. But yeah, a lot of people ghosted. It's crazy how much responsibility and scary how much responsibility Caleb Foster has for the outcome of games for this team in the past few games. I don't feel good about that.
No, and and he's kind of been decent these last couple games, but it's like, all right, how how feasible
He's
is
had
that
some
long term?
clutch plays, man.
He
Like,
has, and he hit that big three down the stretch that hit every part of the rim and the backboard, but it
yeah,
went in, and it
he had
counts
the
the same.
steal against Florida,
Yeah,
like to seal that last possession. It's like I can, as much as we say, we should be starting Caden Boozer, and I still kind of feel that way. It's Caleb hasn't been that terrible.
and Caden hasn't necessarily done anything to like clearly dethrone him.
Unfortunately, not.
And 12
Yeah,
points, 12 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 6 shooting, 0 of 3 from three, 2 assists, no turnovers,
yeah,
and that's kind of been
yeah,
his stat line most nights.
yeah. He had like a clean look at a floater too that just like did not stand a chance. And his 3-pointer is every bit as troublesome as a lot of people kind of feared it would be.
All right, let's jump over to Michigan State real quick because coming into the year, this is a team where it's like, all right, I think Cam Ward's an interesting incoming freshman long term. Same with Jordan Scott. Both of them got double-digit minutes tonight or today. Jordan Scott actually had kind of a sneaky game, but
Yeah.
every single game, Jeremy Fears is rapidly emerging as like, is this dude the best draft prospect on this team? And maybe not quite as long term as we have thought. And I know I'm saying this after he just went 0 of 10 from the floor.
Yeah.
Tough night to have this conversation, but also 13 assists, 1 turnover. And I think he kind of falls into that bucket with like how we were talking about Boswell of like, is he going to be a superstar? No. Is he going to drive the offense and be a dynamic scorer and shooter? No. But could he be a backup point guard? Could he be a third guard and just not make mistakes and keep you afloat in his minutes? And I think so, because he looks like a motherfucker to play against.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Is this the best 0 of 10 performance that you can remember from
It's up
somebody?
there.
It's got to be up there because, I mean, he was responsible for so many points in this game. 6 points from the free throw line speaks to the fact that, like, he wasn't afraid to go in the paint and mix it up and get to that little patented, like, drive, pivot, fade, midi pull up shot that he can kind of get into. Looked pretty clean. A lot of these misses were just like he literally couldn't purchase a bucket tonight. Like even in the closing seconds of the game,
And he tried. He tried to overpay.
Yes, he had in the last few seconds of the game when it was over, and Duke was like, "There's mathematically you're eliminated from this game. I don't care if you make this bucket." He sprints down the floor in transition, has a wide open layup, and it just rolls around the rim and falls out. Like could not purchase a bucket for himself, but he bought a lot of shots for other people tonight, dude. He had 13 assists, which is crazy. Michigan State is not in this game if it's not for the orchestration, the organization that he has. Question for you: is Kohler potentially like a second round pick? Do you think?
No, I don't
No?
think so.
Okay.
I think he's showing that he could probably play in Europe or the NBL or have like a pretty legitimate career overseas. But I know he just all he does is produce and just never goes away. But I don't trust the athleticism at all, especially at that position.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's Saturday. I'm just in my feels a little bit. I wanted to just kind of gauge and see how you were feeling. That's all.
All right. Let's bounce around a little bit more.
Sure.
Those are the two main games that I really wanted to go through in a little more of a structured standpoint. But let's just kind of see where the win takes us here. What else jumped out to you today?
Today, Tunde Yesufu had a really good game today, even though he kind of ghosted the last few moments of the game against Memphis and a loss. Kind of a little bit more of a back to earth game from Cameron Carr in this game for him against Memphis. I still like him. I can't get up to that like lottery top 10 with him just because so much of his shot diet is so much of what he has done right now, and it's like the loudest type of production to ignore is like it's all tough shot making. I believe like I did a little analytical dive on him the other day, and he's in the 100th percentile and like guarded catch and shoot threes right now, and that makes up so much of his shot diet. So naturally, you're not going to be a 52% 3-point shooter throughout the entire season. So what does it look like for you whenever you're not making threes? Luckily for him, he is athletic despite being skinny. He does play tough, and he will get up there and compete defensively and on the glass too. I have him as a first round guy because kind of struggle to get him in that lottery range right now. And just the other guy I want to give a shout out to, we kind of mentioned him at the top, but Heinz Steinbach is.
Mm.
I am so sorry that I was so low on him coming into the season. He's not a great defender, like at
Yeah,
all.
I was just going to ask you about that because, like, I watched the UCLA game yesterday, and he's like 11 of 12 or something ridiculous. He was awesome on offense, rebounded
Mhm.
everything that he possibly could, as he always does. But then it's like, man, the more I watch your defense, the more questions and kind of concerns I keep seeing pop up.
Yeah, I think what gives me hope on that was that, Alperen Şengün coming in
Mhm.
was not a very good defender either, but you trust the feel, you trust the rebounding and his ability to kind of like score from multiple ends of the floor. I feel like given the right sort of ecosystem where he doesn't have to like really be the back line of defense, where he can be more of like in a help scenario, kind of sort of like what Washington has him in now with what's his name, Kimpang, or I can't pronounce the name,
Yeah.
but former Oregon big man that's on the team now. I think he even had 5 blocks on the night, but he had a few defensive possessions where he positions himself where someone from Ohio State's attacking the basket. He slides his feet and just kind of funnels them down to the baseline and forces a turnover that way. He had 1 steal on the night. Again, I'm not expecting much from him defensively. I like the rebounding on both sides
Yeah,
of the ball.
it's one of like
It's
the truly elite skills in this draft class.
100%. He's got such soft touch too. I believe he went 2 of 4 from deep. I don't have the box score in front of me, but he's even showing touch from beyond the arc too, coming off of injury early. Like this is the second like dominant scoring game that he's had since
Yeah.
coming back from injury too. So I like him a lot, dude. Like I think I had him 20 or 21 on my rankings coming into the night. He's probably gonna go up like definitely in lottery. I don't know how high is too high though for me right now.
One of the games I want to jump to from today, Iowa versus Maryland. Iowa blows out Maryland, wins by
Mm,
19. But the important storyline was Bennett Sturts because
yep.
he was his first Big Ten game against Michigan State earlier this week. It was brutal.
Yeah,
It
he
was
looked
not
awful.
good. But when you like really just watch the film, it's like, oh, Michigan State is playing the most aggressive gap coverage literally ever. And every drive, guys were collapsing so aggressively and just daring anyone else on that team to make a shot, and they couldn't. And neither
Yep.
could Bennett, and he couldn't get paint touches, he couldn't get to the rim. It was a disaster. So I was like, all right, well, that's not what you want to see from an older point guard transferring up in competition. But then he comes out today against Maryland, drops 25 on 10 of 17 shooting, 4 of 8 from 3, 2 assists, no turnovers. Exactly what you want to see. So it is just a really, really important bounce back game for him and that Iowa program, beating a feisty Maryland team who was a disaster on offense today. But you still got to play.
Yeah, I didn't watch much of that game at all. I think I saw a couple possessions just kind of surfing through and trying to like find one of the games that I wanted to kind of like sink down into, just have some background noise on it, and at least hear what's going on whenever I can't watch it. But I'm glad that he bounced back. I know that Michigan State was going to hold a lot of water for people if he didn't come back and have the sort of game that he did today against Maryland. So you love to see the quick bounce back from a guy like him. Clearly, this is what teams are wanting to see with the evaluation for him on the season was what does it look like consistently against the higher end competition. So I'm glad that he had the performance that he had today.
Yeah, and we are recording this during the Auburn Arizona game, so we're not going to dive into that. It's halftime right now. Arizona's up 12, but Todd Pettiford looks like he's having a really nice kind of breakout game out of
It's good.
his shooting slump. Up, currently 16 on 6 of 11 shooting. What you want to see. But some of the other notables today, Purdue got walloped by Iowa State today, 81-58. Indiana lost to Louisville, back-to-back losses for Indiana after just getting ranked this week, 87-78. Houston took down Florida State, 82-67.
I can't wait to watch that game back.
Yeah, the freshman in that game put up some numbers. Kingston Flemings had 8 steals.
8 steals, yeah.
5 turnovers, but hey, well, he made up for it.
+3.
Exactly. anything from you on any of those games?
Ryan Conwell had himself a game today. I did watch that Indiana Louisville game. The stuff that you kind of worry about with a guy like Michael did kind of show up. Luckily for him, in the past 2 games, he's had these nasty highlight dunks to kind of keep people enthusiastic about the athletics. Dude, he is so fun to watch. Between those 2 dunks, that crazy freaking Spider-Man pass that he had the other game, he's an MF too. Like, watching that game, there's a few times where he was just like jawing back and forth between a few guys on the Indiana roster. So fun game, but Conwell had himself a performance and a nice McNeely game as well.
I mean, Conwell just kind of always seems to have himself a performance. That's just kind of becoming the norm for him. I mean, 21 points, shot only 4 of 10, but the rare 10 for 11 from the free throw line with him, 4 rebounds on top of it, along with 2 assists. Just really solid player, who will probably go later than he should, given the age and size and all that. But the guy can just flat out play. On the Indiana side, only name of note, Tucker DeVries ended up with a pretty solid stat line at the end of the day. 26 points on 4 of 11 shooting from outside, but 12 of 13 from the line. You get your points how you get them. And 5 of 14 from the floor overall. So it's like everything was from 3-point range. And I saw him in person at Minnesota the other day, and he was awful. And it wasn't just
look good today.
And it's all of the same kind of stuff where it's like looks like one of the worst athletes in this class. Like, he can't get through screens. He's not a good defender. He can't get paint touches. He can barely attack inside the arc. But on days where he's shooting from outside and the outside shot is falling, because the shot is gorgeous. It's a legit tool. And he makes some nice passes every now and then. But it's like, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I have him as a late second round guy. He did not look good in the game today. He got in foul trouble early too, which never helps, but he was kind of like in over his skis, which is, I know, a phrase that Rucker likes to hear. So I'm glad that I got to use that today. Defending against some of the big guys like Frew for Louisville gave him a lot of work today too. Pryor had a couple of really impressive possessions for him, and against Tucker DeVries as well. He was just kind of outmatched physically in this game.
And last thing I have today, I didn't dive into the weeds on this game yet, but Nick Martinelli for Northwestern put up just a bonkers stat line against Ohio State. They lost by 4, but Martinelli ended up with 32 points, 10 of 16 shooting, 10 of 12 from the line, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, a block. Just one of those weirdo players who'll probably play in Europe or not play at all. Anything else for you from today, or you want to jump to stuff earlier this week?
We can jump to stuff, but I do want to shout out 2 players. I want to go back and watch their games, but I know Blackwell had a 30-point game today. I believe he was 6 of 12, if my memory serves correctly, from 3. And then Juke Harris had a 28-point performance today as well.
Goddamn right he did.
Dude, he's another one of these guys where I'm going to need people to kind of like, I get sick of hearing myself say his name so much in the war room. Like, I think that he's got some tools.
I have him at 45, so he's fun.
You hate him. All right, got it.
Despise him.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
let's
where do you want to go?
I want to talk about everyone's favorite thing to talk about, which is college basketball coaches. I want to talk about Gonzaga versus Kentucky, and if you want, we can talk about Graham Ike, which I know is a guy that you're kind of like, is he potentially? Huh?
I don't think he is.
Yeah. But
at least in the NBA, but.
Kentucky, dude. Let's talk about that. We could talk coach, or we could talk about Jaden Quaton. And so I think both of these are going to be fun, just kind of Saturday night conversations.
This team sucks. They're a disaster. Like,
awful.
It's one of the worst vibes from a team that I've seen in a long, long time. And they were kind of giving off these vibes like 2 weeks ago. And it's like, why are you guys talking like this? It's like the 3rd game of the season. And it's like, oh, because this is who you are. And apparently you're a team that exhibits almost no effort, no execution, and it looks like no one, whether it's coaches or the players, want to be out there.
Yeah, it's alarming, because I believe that Nathan had put out too that, like, are we sure that Coach Pope is a good coach, and I think we were all like, I think so. Like I feel like he is because the year prior, I felt like there was a lot of success, and we were kind of praising the motion that he has within his offense, and then we started looking at the offseason recruiting where Malachi Marino is not everyone's favorite cup of tea, but if you believe in like the free flowing offense where the offense can flow through the big men, Marino shows some good passing potential in high school, so you could potentially buy into that. A lot of people like Cam Williams as a floor spacer coming in to this season. A lot of people liked Otega Owe in his last season with Oklahoma. He had a pretty good year for Kentucky last season, so why wouldn't he build off of that? And then, Yelovich is a pro from overseas. Clearly, he's got to come in and be good. Denzel Aberdeen is an or I almost said NBA champion, an NCAA champion.
Like, damn,
so,
congrats.
Yeah, good job already. But yeah, it's one of those things to where it felt like they were going to be competitive, but it feels like they're quitting. Like it genuinely feels like the players on the team are quitting. I would be surprised if Coach Pope is going to be the coach like next year.
Mark Pope obviously knows way more, has forgotten more about basketball than I'll ever know. But it's like the vibes weren't like this last year. So it's like, is it a him thing? Is it just a bad accumulation of players and personalities that they just kind of went out and got guys without actually building a team? And
this that's kind of expensive, dude.
That's what it feels like though to me, because like Malachi Moreno was dog shit in this game.
Yeah,
like it was
soft, dude.
Like he wasn't boxing out. Like guys just walked past him on drives. He just nothing. And I keep waiting for Cam Williams to do literally anything, for Jasper Johnson to do literally anything. And anytime they're out there, it's goose eggs. And I think Cam Williams in that game, his only stat line was 0 of 3 shooting.
Yeah.
That's tough in 15-ish minutes. And he was a guy that I was really intrigued with coming up from Tulane. The usage was super low, so you're kind of banking a lot on flashes, the athleticism, some of the defensive playmaking stuff, the low volume outside shooting. Like there were real indicators of like, all right, this guy could be really fun. Nothing. And you gain nothing from the transfers in. There's no leadership on this team. Like Otega Owe is still playing hard, kind of, at least. But like I don't see him as an NBA guy, and I never really have.
Yeah.
It's just a brutal situation there right now.
It really is, man. And I like Colin Chandler. I feel like if anyone is gonna be like the leader on this team, I feel like it's kind of got to be him by this point. But how are you gonna rein everybody else in? And I guess this kind of brings me to the conversation that I wanted to have with you on Jane Quaintance. It's like, a lot of places have you mocked like top 10 lottery somewhere in that neighborhood right now. Coming back to this team, like the whole thing with Quaintance is that he's a great defender, he quick twitch, like crazy freak athlete, and he can pass the ball. This team cannot shoot at all right now. Like they're a poor 3-point shooting team. So even if you can pass, like you really are putting a lot of trust in the people around you to hit them. And then if you're like you're going to be like the best defender on the team, you're also going to be like the only defender on this team too. And you're coming in off of a pretty serious injury. We were kind of like tongue in cheek joking about this like way earlier on in the season. Like I'm starting to like really believe, and this is not reporting, this is just my opinion. Like what's the incentive for him to come back? I don't think there is any.
I don't know, but like the fact that we don't have a timeline, or there are rumors or rumblings or anything about a return, are just weird. It's just not good. It's just not good. And like game blown out is one thing. Like we're not just reacting to one blowout, because Gonzaga got smoked by 50 a week ago.
Yeah,
I don't imagine Kentucky coming back in their next game and beating a ranked opponent and really turning things around and looking like a different team.
Yeah. And just too, with like the no timeline thing, Do you think that it's possible? And again, this is just conjecture.
Hmm.
Do you think that it's possible it's because that maybe there could have been like the intention on not coming back anyway? So like, why give a timeline? Maybe does that
Um,
kind of
I mean,
it kind of weird
maybe I
conversation?
have
Yeah,
no idea.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't even know how to speculate about that, just because it's like, well, then why transfer there in the first place, anyways?
I don't know.
Well,
Conspiracy
the
Stevens
money.
here.
That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay,
That money doesn't hurt.
we can't end on Kentucky. Give me something else
Yeah.
positive to wrap tonight up on.
Um. Well, I'll just say Woo Pig Sooie for beating the Louisville Cardinals. Great Darius Acuff game
That's a
where he
fun
had
game.
seven. Yeah, very good game on his part. Malik Thomas, I feel like I don't know what I'm seeing that other people on our team aren't, to where it feels like so much more of the team is like back half of the first round, like okay with him going in the second round. I kind of like Malik. I think that he's like very talented. I think that he's a good scorer. I mean, he's not. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's you know, Trey Johnson from last year, but I don't think that he's like super duper far off, like as a scoring like potential talent, if that makes sense.
Okay, this will be a fun conversation because I'm one of those people who is incredibly skeptical of Malik,
Yeah,
and of Malik as a one and done guy,
yeah,
based on the small sample that we have. I do want to preface he's very talented. He is
yeah,
very fun. I really enjoy how hard he's trying to defend. I like him as an off ball scorer and an off ball shooter a lot. I think he's just really far away physically. I still don't think he has any idea what he's doing defensively. And offensively, when he has the ball in his hands, he just over dribbles and just plays with blinders so much. So it's like I get the hope, and it's like, all right, man, I'd love if you were Jamal Crawford, but I also
yeah.
really worry that you're like Nick Young, Dion Waiters.
Oh, okay.
And it just seems like the processing speed and decision making is so far away from being NBA ready. And I just think again, as of December 6th,
Sure. Yeah.
a lot of time to go. And it wouldn't shock me if in a month and a half things totally flip for him and something falls into place and things really start clicking. But as of right now, it just seems like he would be so better off giving it another year, waiting for, or just allowing the game to slow down a little bit more mentally and being a little more day one ready to contribute or at least get minutes in the NBA instead of just riding the bench and being a long-term developmental project, because the track record with those guys isn't great.
That's fair. I think that's probably like the best explanation that I heard. I haven't talked to a whole lot of people about Malik. I like the athleticism. I know
Hmm.
he's a little bit skinnier, but he doesn't play skinny.
No, he's tough.
Um, yeah, he's tough. He gives a lot of a crap on both sides of the floor. I like his scoring. Um, I like his scoring potential, but I could be a little bit too high on him. And then I guess the last game that I watched was Florida versus Duke, and I think that anybody who watched that game that had questions about Cam Boozer and his finishing and his ability to go up against like the best front courts and all this other stuff, like that's a game that you watch and you feel a lot more confident in his translation around the basket. And it was after that game I went on the YouTube and did a reaction show, and that's where I said I that was the first time that I legit started considering him as the top guy on my board. That's when I really started having the discussion and looking at it seriously.
Yeah, turns out one of the most decorated and productive and winning basketball or high school basketball players ever. Good at basketball. Who would have
For
thought?
sure.
All right,
Yeah.
Stephen. Any final thoughts? Thoughts, concerns, predictions, hot takes? Now's the
No,
time.
basketball has just been really fun so far this year, man, and I've enjoyed watching it. That's all I have to say. I know that's a crazy hot take from a draft guy.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, shout out to the chat, everyone watching live. Really enjoy seeing these numbers kind of grow week by week. I know it's Saturday night, and there's some really fun college championship football games going on today,
Yeah.
but the basketball rock today. We're going to try and keep these going, schedules permitting. every Saturday throughout the year. So make sure to come hang out. We'll also have a mock draft version 2.0 up on the website, noceilingsnba.com this week. Make sure to go check that out. I believe it'll go up Wednesday. Could be wrong, but it'll be there. So just subscribe to make sure that you don't miss anything.
Jam and I also, just real quick,
Yes.
we're going to have James Barlow
Let's go
on the show Sunday. So as you're watching this live tomorrow, if you're listening Sunday morning, go over to the YouTube channel tonight. We're going to have a fun show with James Barlow talking about some of the prospects that have stood out this week. So it'll be
Can't
fun.
wait for that. James does awesome work. And best way to make sure that you don't miss any of this, go to the No Ceilings YouTube, subscribe. Go to noceilingsnba.com, subscribe. Go to Stephen Gillespie's Twitter, Stephen G. Hoops. Follow him. I'm at Tyler Metcalf, T Metcalf 11. But appreciate all you hanging. Rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars, all that good stuff. But until next time, see ya.